Sup, everyone. It is Joey D and Timmy B back at it again for week one of the NFL. Joe, we got a little taste of it last night with the first game of the year. Now we are picking the rest of the games, but how are you doing today, my friend?
Tim, I'm good, man. I'm tired. It was a fun night. I stayed up late, watched the entire game. It was great. Just a really, really good game overall, just as a football fan. And,
Mhm.
even better because the Cowboys lost. So, we love to see it. Football is back. The NFL is back. I'm looking forward to making these picks.
Absolutely. And before we hop into our picks and even recap the game from Thursday night, Joe, we do have a little bit of news regarding some teams in the AFC North. We'll start with the good news is TJ Watt got his extension now, the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. It was all but coming, and rumor has it that his agent said that he could get more money. He was like, nope, let's just sign it right now before the season starts. Let's get this over with. Very much deserving, and he will definitely be a force to be reckoned with on that Steelers defense for the next couple of years. And the contract gave him a nice position to get another one. Obviously, not another $100 million contract, of course, but definitely another two, three, four, five multi-year deal with a little bit of cash, and we'll see what happens. But great signing by the Steelers right before the season. Get that out of the way. TJ Watt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he's a huge part of that defense and, one of the best defensive players in the NFL. We talked about it in the last episode. We could see him winning MVP, defensive MVP
Hmm.
this year. I think he should have won it last year.
Hmm.
Um, so, it's huge to get that contract locked up now, especially when I know the Steelers have, I guess, a policy about not extending players like during the season. So, to kind of get that, locked up now and, in the rearview mirror. It's important for, the players and the staff and, everyone to be able to just focus on playing the game. I mean, the Eagles saw firsthand last year how bad Zach Ertz was after, dealing with a contract dispute, not getting the deal he wanted, going into the start of the season, and had the worst year of his career. So it can definitely be a distraction. Good to see they got that taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good policy to follow as well. Just keep the distractions in the offseason. Let's focus on trying to win a Super Bowl during the season. Then other news out of the AFC North, Joe, it happened again. A Ravens running back tears their ACL. Gus the Bus Edwards tears the ACL. Marcus Peters also believed to have been. I don't know if that has been confirmed with
I
testing
believe
yet.
so. Yeah.
Even so, it was a non-contact drill. So you can put two and two together. So either way, the Ravens did lose Gus Edwards. We did lose Marcus Peters. The key one is Gus Edwards, of course, as a Ravens fan. Obviously, huge to lose Marcus Peters, but we have such a deep secondary and deep defensive backs. I mean, hell, we traded away our fifth round defensive back, Sean Wade, this year because we just didn't have enough room. So Marcus
Right.
Peters is out. That's a huge loss, but the key is Gus the Bus Edwards. Now we did bring in Le'Veon Bell, Devonta Freeman, and Latavius Murray. Right now, Tyson Williams is running back number one, and then we'll see who emerges on Monday night, of course, once we pick that game. But Latavius Murray and Devonta Freeman were in training camp and in practice for most of the offseason. I mean, Latavius Murray got cut a couple of days ago, so he is ready to go practicing everything like that. Lev Bell might need a little bit of work. And Joe, you texted me, a lot of friends text me saying, who's the guy, who's the guy, who's the guy? And I said, eventually, it might be Bell, but for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be either Latavius or Devonta Freeman, along with Tyson Williams and Lamar Jackson. But Joe, your thoughts on the the Bus Edwards, as well as the Marcus Peters injury?
Yeah, the Gus injury is devastating. I had him in two fantasy
Hmm.
leagues. I scooped Le'Veon Bell immediately, and then dropped Le'Veon for Latavius Murray now. So we're hoping for the best there. I'm just kind of listening to what the fantasy experts are saying
Yeah.
about it, and just pulling the trigger immediately. I think that if there's a position that's gonna got to get decimated, I think running back is a good
Mhm.
position to have because you can get that production elsewhere. And, I think that, Lamar is still going to lead this team in rushing at the end of the
Oh,
year
for
anyway.
sure.
Um, but like I said, you can get those kind of guys off the street like they are right now. I mean, now with Lamar and Devontae, Le'Veon, and Latavius Murray, they have four rushers who have had 1,000-yard
Hmm.
seasons. So, definitely, a veteran backfield and, a good committee to have. So I think they'll be all right there. I think the Marcus Peters injury is a little bit more significant, just because like that is such a strength for them that, when they don't have that, then I worry about the defense overall just being exposed. I mean,
Hmm.
we've talked about the concerns about their pass rush. I like Chuck Clark. Who's your other safety? Is it Deshaun
Deshaun Elliott,
Elliott?
baby, the
Yeah.
Joker.
Yeah, I like both those guys, but I'm not necessarily sold that they're, star players. I feel like
Mhm.
with, good talent around them, they're not asked to do as much. And, now with this injury, I think that is going to put just, more stress on, the entire defense as a whole. So, it'll be interesting to see how they respond. But, again, this is a good coaching staff to be able to handle it.
Yeah, good coaching staff, good culture, good team. And as I said before in our preview, as well as a couple of other episodes, 4 of our first 5 games are Raiders, Lions, Broncos, and Colts. Obviously, that other one is the Chiefs, but at least a little bit of a lighter schedule to start the season. So we might win these games. We probably will win most of these games. So it might be a slow roll. And then once we get back some people healthy, Latavius, Devonta, Le'Veon getting used to the system and used to practicing and everything that getting back in game shape, that we could be a force to be reckoned with in the second half of the season for sure. And then the other news, which we will kind of loop into the recap of the game, Joe, since it involves a Cowboys player. Thursday night, first game of the season, Buccaneers win 31-29. It was kind of an ugly win. I mean, they had over 100, 150 penalty yards, 4 or 5 turnovers. They kicked a field goal with 2 seconds left. Ryan Suckup, shout out to former Gamecock Ryan Suckup for kicking the game-winning field goal. So as we were talking right before we were recording, the Cowboys were in a position to win. And honestly, like if I looked at the stat sheet and saw 150 penalty yards, 4 turnovers, and a couple of short fields and everything like that, I'd
Right.
be like, that team loses 9 times out of 10. Like, how did the Cowboys not win? Obviously, Greg the leg or Legatron did miss a couple of big kicks at the time. Justin Tucker appreciation right there. Love that. But yeah, Joe, this was a game that the Cowboys probably should have won the way Tampa Bay played. So what is your big takeaway from the Buccaneers squeaking this out against the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs found a way to win,
Mhm.
but honestly, it was only that close because they were just giving the Cowboys all of these opportunities. I don't think that the Cowboys are better than what we still really believe that they are. I mean, ultimately, they found a way to lose a
Mhm.
game that they should have. Like you said, all the stats dictated that that team should have won. They had 4 turnovers and all the penalty yardage, and I mean the Cowboys just did not take advantage of their opportunities. So I just felt like it was the Bucs kind of playing down to the competition, but still ultimately finding a way to win, which is what champions do and what the good teams do, and the bad teams find a way to lose. I was a little bit more impressed with the Cowboys offense against the Bucs
Mhm.
defense than I was expecting. Their offensive line played a little bit better than I anticipated. The pressure wasn't really there as much until the second half.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, the Cowboys also kind of got a lucky break with the Bucs starting corner Sean Murphy Bunting going down. That's a position that we talked about, doesn't have a lot of depth or star talent. And, this Todd Bowles defense just sending a lot of people and crowding the line of scrimmage. It allows a lot of one on one matchups on the outside, and the Cowboys have the weapons to take advantage of it. Dak put up a lot of stats and, I think overall looked pretty good considering he came off the injury.
Mhm.
But I also felt like the offense was a little bit gimmicky, a little bit dink and dunks, like, play action, a lot of screens. He took, he didn't really have to put a lot of force or velocity on the ball, for a lot of his passes. But, the one they did that they talked about in the first half that was underthrown to CD Lamb. I mean, that was significant. He had a clean pocket. CD was wide open. You had to drive it on an out route to the sideline. It wasn't there. And he wasn't really asked to make those kind of throws throughout the game, which I think was a testament to Kellen Moore and great play calling on his part. But like I said, overall, it's Tom Brady. We knew minute and a half left, whatever, when they got the ball back, that he was going to find a way to get them to win. Questionable no call at the end with Chris Godwin. What do you think of that one, Tim?
Hey, that was a flop 100%, Joe. Now in real time, as they said, I was like, that's pass interference. And then in slow mo, I was like, oh no, that was a flop. I mean, dude's head just flung back, and then I saw a tweet right before we hopped on was like, your head flings back like that, and then you land on your stomach. That's a flop because that is you kind of turning around to make sure, like, if that was actual offensive pass interference, he would have been thrown down on his back.
Right.
Um, and they had controversy last year. I believe they lost to the Rams in the week 1 on Sunday Night Football for they either got called or it was another similar. They didn't get called for an offensive pass interference, or there was some sort of pass interference call. But Joe, you said it. You said it best, my friend. I mean, I'm excited for the Cowboys offense. They showed a lot, saying, "All right, cool. Like this is going to be an exciting offense to watch." I was very impressed with their defense as well. Yes, a couple of those turnovers were via the running backs. Not having the best of grips or touches on them, but that
Right.
Godwin or fumble late in the game was a very nice hard hit. So I'm very excited about the Cowboys defense. Not too worried about the Bucs defense right now. I do think that they will fit. It was a very sloppy game, but hey, we picked the Bucs. I picked them to go undefeated, survive in advance, baby.
Yep.
We're moving on. So we
Yep.
are starting off the season 1-0, my friend.
We are. And one other, aspect of the game we didn't mention, Ezekiel Elliott, a non-factor the entire game. I mean, I think it's just clear watching him. He does not look as explosive. If the hole isn't there, if the run isn't blocked perfectly, he's not the same back who can make that first guy miss every time. I mean, we saw that play on that speed option on the
Hmm.
goal line when Andrew Adams, who was on the Eagles in training camp and recently got cut and got forced into duty for the Buccaneers last night. He played with them I think last year, but hasn't been with them all training camp. He makes that tackle 1-on-1 with Ezekiel Elliott at the goal line. Like that's a play that Zeke should win every time,
Yeah.
especially for the money they're paying him, and he didn't. And I think just further proves the point. I mean, he's washed. He's gotten so many carries, so many touches. His body's got to be breaking down at some point, and it's a poor investment on the Cowboys side.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, when you have a quarterback like Dak who can throw the ball and is we've seen very talented, and then you have Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, even a Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz. This is going to be a pass happy offense,
Right.
especially Mike McCarthy, who never really used Aaron Jones or any of the running backs while he was in Green Bay. And now, of course, you have Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. But still, with all these offensive weapons, the weapons on the Cowboys offense is the passing game.
Right. How
And
smart how smart do you think that was of Mike McCarthy to throw so many times this first week back after, Dax had this shoulder injury all off season in training camp? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it was working. So I mean, that's my thought process. I agree with you. It's very risky, but I mean, when you're going up against the Buccaneers, you know you're going to have to put up points. And
right.
with that front seven that the Bucks have, their weak point, as they mentioned, especially with Sean Murphy Bunting going out, is their secondary. So they're saying the entire broadcast being like, yeah, you kind of have to throw a lot. And I just think I think it was a right decision. Was it a smart decision though? I don't think so.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to kind of monitor that shoulder and see if, it pops up, at all cuz I mean, one game in and you're already throwing over 50
Yeah.
passes. That's not great when you have a
No.
shoulder strain like Dak has and they got to go to the Texas Rangers and get some help.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. And Connor McGovern, who filled in for Zach Martin, did a pretty good job. They even displayed that on the broadcast. He did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
And
couple holding calls.
yeah. There was a lot of penalties in that game. A lot of
Yeah,
penalties in
ugly
that game on
game.
both sides. But good news for the Cowboys. Zach Martin should be back off the COVID list next week. Bad news, they lose Lyle Collins to a 5-game suspension. So they still won't be full strength for another 5 or 6 weeks, Joe. And that's huge. Again, we mentioned with not only Zeke maybe trying to get on the right foot, but to protect Dak as well. I mean, they play the Chargers next week, and that's not going to be any easier, especially in a Brandon Staley defense with some of the talent that they have with Derwin James as well, being in the run game as well as the pass game. So it's going to be tough for the Cowboys. And man, Lyle Collins, 5-game suspension. That's huge for them. Absolutely huge.
I know, especially coming off of that injury last year. Now he's played one game and then gets suspended. You hate to see it as the Cowboys, but
Yeah,
also we just got some breaking news here and now on the Flea Flicker that we're breaking live.
whoa.
Ding ding ding. Naheem Hines gets a 3-year extension with the Colts. I think it
Hey.
said 18.6 million. I missed the details, but it said that makes him a top 10 paid running back in the NFL. Like, I cannot believe the Colts would do something like that. I mean, that just again, it's a poor use of resources.
Yeah.
Naheem Hines, like wasn't he like a late round draft pick or an undrafted guy? I
Hey,
mean,
Naeem Hines, he's a
I
guy
like
that
him.
like 2 games a year will have like 10 catches and 3 touchdowns and then do nothing the
Right.
rest of the season.
But the Eagles just got a guy like that in the draft, and Kenny Gainwell out of Memphis, who's like that receiving back, like Daryl Henderson and Antonio Gibson, just all those Memphis boys. And we got him in the fifth round, and he kind of fills that role already. So it's just like, why make Naheem Hines you invest in very little resources and now, a top 10 paid running back, especially when you just also invested
Yeah.
a high draft pick in Jonathan Taylor. Like, I don't get it.
Hey, I don't get it, but the Colts have some money to spend. But Joe, we are starting the season off 1-0, so now it's
We
time. The
are.
people are here to watch us pick some NFL games for Week 1. But before we hop into the first game, hit that thumbs up button to like this video and hit that subscribe button to the channel. Now, Joe, are you ready for the first game that we are picking on Sunday?
I'm ready, Timmy B. Let's get into it.
This should be a quick one. The first game we were going to be talking about, and the way I did that was I kind of looked at the list and I said, all right, these are the good 1 o'clock games. We'll start from to some good matchups, and we will provide lines. We'll let you know that we are just picking up straight up winners. Maybe I'll say the spread or whatnot or the over under. Odds are from our friends at Barstool Sports and the Barstool Sportsbook. First game, Joe, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Houston Texans. Jaguars are a 3.5-point road favorite at the time of recording. Over under is 45.5. Joe, obviously you're going with the Jaguars because you said the Texans weren't going to win the game. This could be one of the few games that they could win, but I'm
Right.
going with the Jaguars on this one as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a first year staff and coach with David Culley, so there's no film on him and what he's planning to run, but I'm not really worried about whatever he can
Yeah.
cook up with Tyrod Taylor and Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins and Rex Burkhead at running back. So yeah, give me the Jags, easy money. I don't think there's much that needs to be said about the Texans, who, like I said, they're going 0-17, Dave.
I think it's going to be a good game for Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer to get their first win, and maybe that propels them a little bit of momentum. But yeah, Texans are bad. Enough about that game, Joe, because we don't need to talk about that any longer.
That's right.
Next game we got. Another team that is projected to not do very good with the first-year head coach is the Detroit Lions. Now, the 49ers are coming into town into Ford Field in Detroit. 49ers are an 8-point road favorite. The over-under is 45. I don't think the Lions are going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was a competitive game going into the fourth quarter, but I do think the 49ers are going to pull this out.
Yeah, I don't see it being that close. I mean, the 49ers are fully healthy now for the first time in such a long time. And they're back, they're ready to go. And they've played Jared Goff a lot over the
Mhm.
last couple of years and they're very familiar with him. And Detroit just doesn't have much going for them offensively or really defensively outside of their trenches to a degree. I think there's that's a bright spot to look forward to, but right now, I mean, it's still not a good matchup for them on either side of the ball. I think the 49ers got this pretty easily. I'll be monitoring TJ Hawkinson since I have him in two
Yeah.
leagues.
Well, that's kind of why I'm saying it might be a close game because I feel like everybody is looking at this being like, all right, yeah, 49ers are going to dominate. And this could be like that game. There's always going to be those couple of games week 1 where it's like this, like a team like the Lions hangs into the fourth quarter, maybe even goes into overtime. So that's kind of my thought process just because everybody's like, yes, 49ers, 49ers. I still think the 49ers are going to win, and that is my pick. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions hung around maybe into some point in the second half, and then the 49ers just being the better team, having the better roster, will pull out the
Yeah.
win. Much like the Bucs the other night. I'm not saying it'll be like that game, but the Bucs are just the better team, better roster, and they found a way to win the game.
Right, right. You never know. We'll see what happens. It'll be a fun one.
Yeah, next up, we got a little revenge game in week 1. A revenge game in week 1. We got the New York Jets, rookie head coach, and Robert Saleh, the former 49ers defensive coordinator, and Zach Wilson going on the road to the Carolina Panthers, where they traded their previous quarterback, Sam Darnold, to who obviously is the starter. Panthers are a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under is at 44. Joe, Sam Darnold revenge game? Can you believe that? If you said that at the beginning of the 2020 season or even when he got drafted, that a couple of years down the road, week 1, revenge game, Jets, Panthers, I like it. I'm going with the Panthers. How about yourself?
I'm also going with the Panthers. I do think that it's a revenge game to a degree, but if Adam Gase was still there, then it would
Oh,
really be a
yeah.
revenge game. Like, where is he? Isn't he in New England now?
I couldn't tell you. I can look that up real
I think
quick.
that's right. But yeah, I mean, I think Sam Darnold is going to come out here and he's going to have a really good first game for the Panthers. And I think he's going to outduel Zach Wilson. I think he's going to have just a better game overall. Zach Wilson will flash a little bit, but this Panthers defense, I mean, we've talked about how young they are. This Jets offense is pretty young as well. I think it's a good test for both these teams, but I think the Panthers are just the better team right now. They've got a lot more weapons on offense. I think McCaffrey and Robbie Anderson have a really big game. And yeah, now a little bit of revenge from Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson. No longer in New York, now in Carolina. And what could have been is what the Jets fans will be saying.
According to the Daily Snark, he is now an offensive coordinator of a local high school team. And it says, a few months later, Gase is calling plays for another team with players of equal skill level.
Yikes.
Big yikes. But yeah, I'm definitely going with the Panthers on this one. I think we're going to see Christian McCaffrey back at it 100%, getting plenty of touches. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. It's going to be a good time, and it's going to be a great matchup for that young defense that we were talking about. Obviously, rookie quarterback Zach Wilson had a great preseason. I just don't think the Jets are there yet, especially with their roster. So it could be a good momentum game for the Panthers as well. And again, like this is going to be the theme of the season, Joe. A bunch of young quarterbacks. Next up, we have Joe Burrow coming back after such a brutal injury in his rookie season. They are hosting the Vikings. Now, I find this interesting, Joe. Vikings are a 3-point road favorite right now. The over-under is at 47.5. We both think the Vikings are going to have rougher years than a lot of people are expecting. But you still have Dalvin Cook. You still have Justin Jefferson, still a non-primetime Kirk Cousins, as well as a defense that in theory should be very, very good, but in the past couple of years just has not, especially in the secondary. So based on Vegas, Joe, are you predicting the Bengals to pull off a home upset in week 1?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that'll be a high scoring game. I think that, both I don't think the Vikings like you just said, I don't think the Vikings defense is very good. I think that this Bengals offense is also underrated and, is going to be able to move the ball up and down the field and, score a lot of points. But, I mean, it's a veteran team and, Mike Zimmer I still think is, why I think he might be on the hot seat this year. I mean, I think he's a better coach than Zach Taylor, and I'll take Mike Zimmer, over Zach Taylor and the Bengals. I mean, until I see the Bengals do it, I can't trust it yet, even though I've got some hope for him.
I'm definitely with you on all that you said, Joe, but I'm going with the Bengals in this one. We got to change it up a
Oh,
little bit. We can't be all on the same team every week, and probably this is a reason why you beat me by one game. One
that's
game.
I was just
You beat
gonna
me by
say
one
this is
game.
why you lost.
You beat me by one game last year. But yeah, I'm going with the Bengals in this one. I kind of like what they're cooking up. As we said, the Vikings are going to have rough seasons. I do agree with you. I think this will be a very high scoring game, and it could be coming down to whoever has the ball last. And obviously, a no-name kicker, Evan McPherson. I'm sure he obviously had a name in college, but beating out some well-known names on Cincinnati. Austin Seibert, I believe, is who he beat out. So a guy who already has had NFL experience. He lost a kicking job to this rookie or no-name type guy. So could come down to him. I'm drinking the Joe Burrow Kool-Aid, especially, like I said, they're going to get 5 or 6 wins, but playing Ravens, Steelers, and Browns in the division, they got to get their win somehow, Joe. It's not going to be in the
Right.
division. So I'm going with the Bengals to pull off a home upset. And hopefully I don't regret that when we record Monday or Tuesday for sure.
It's a lot more realistic possibility than I think people are giving it
Oh,
credit for.
absolutely. And now it's time to the team who just extended Naeem Hines that we just broke. The Colts are home again, a 3-point underdog at home. The Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson coming into Indianapolis and the Dome. The over under is 49.5. I really don't know, Joe, who I'm going to pick in this one, but so how about you go first?
Yeah, this is an easy call for me. It's Seattle. I mean, there's no Eric Fisher in this game. There's no T.Y. Hilton in this game. There's no Xavier Rhodes in this game. I mean, this Indianapolis team has dealt with a lot this offseason, and they don't have a lot of chemistry and they don't have a lot of starters out there. I think that Russ is going to cook week 1 and kind of have a similar start to the season like we saw last year. But I mean, we all know it's only a matter of time until Pete Carroll decides to inexplicably run the ball to Rashad Penny 20 times a game. So it's not December yet. So in September, that's when Russ cooks. So give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, you just sold me on that one. I'm going with the Seahawks as well. If this game was in maybe week 5, 6, 7, maybe I'm leaning toward the Colts. But week 1, Russ is going to be cooking, as you mentioned. Not a lot of chemistry, a big offseason, bunch of injuries as well in Indianapolis. Could be a close one, but I think Russ is going to cook, and then they're going to pick it up in the second half and really pull away from that game. So yeah, we are all in the Seahawks. Now moving from one NFC bird to two NFC birds. Joe, it's time for your Philadelphia Eagles going on the road at the Atlanta Falcons. Right now, the Falcons are a 3.5 point home favorite. The over-under is 49. Joe, this is Nick Sirianni's first game as a head coach. This is Arthur Smith's first game as a head coach. Jalen Hurts first game as a having a full off season as a starter and everything. We still have Matt Ryan and gang over there down in Atlanta minus Julio Jones. So Joe, the floor is yours, buddy. What are you expecting out of this game? Will the Eagles win? What is your pick?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good game. The Eagles have played the Falcons a couple times over the last few years
Mhm.
in the first game of the season, and we've typically done pretty well against them. I believe the last time we played them, we had a bunch of injuries in pregame, and then Nelson Aguilar managed to drop a game-winning touchdown pass.
Did he
So
do that on the Eagles?
oh, he did do that a couple
Okay.
times on the Eagles. I'm not sure if anybody knew that, but Nelson Aguilar doesn't have the best hands, especially
Mm.
in clutch situations. So he's gone. Don't have to deal with that anymore. And instead, we have a guy named Devontae Smith,
Yeah,
who I
yeah, yeah.
think is going to have a great first game. I mean, this Falcons defense, they do not have much there. I mean, Dean Pease is a very good defensive coordinator with a lot of pedigree and a lot of experience. But there's just not a lot of star talent there, and the Eagles are healthy right now. And on the flip side with the Falcons offense, while Calvin Ridley concerns me, and Kyle Pitts is also a threat. This offensive line is banged up, and they got I think a rookie starting, and Arthur Smith has already said that their starting right guard is going to get baptized by
Yeah.
Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, who have had great training camps. I think this D line is going to have a really good game and make life difficult for Matt Ryan. I think if Darius Slay can do well against Calvin Ridley, and then the rest of the defense can kind of, slow down Kyle Pitts. I don't think there's, much else that the Falcons really have that, can make a big play. I mean, I like Mike Davis, but, again, I expect our D line to kind of dominate this game. So I'm gonna take the Eagles to pull it off. And, Nick Sirianni is going to be undefeated. It's going to be just a great football weekend, Tim. I mean, the Cowboys lost. We talked about Clemson and Carolina, Clemson losing, Carolina winning. That's going to happen again this weekend. The
Oh,
Eagles are going to win. All of my teams that I love are going to win. All of my teams that I hate are going to lose. Everything's coming up, Joe, this weekend, baby.
everything is coming up, Joe and Dean. I'm with you. I'm going with the Eagles, and I think you nailed it at the end. I think it's going to come down to both defenses. Dean Pease, great defensive coordinator, great defensive mind, but it's a very bend, don't break. And the Eagles do have a couple of young playmakers like a Devonta Smith, maybe even a Jalen Rager, and of course Miles Sanders as well. They're going to open up that defense a little bit, get in the open field, and to make some plays. And then on the flip side, that Eagles defensive line, as well as the linebackers, I think the Eagles have a little bit of a better defense right now. So I'm going with the Eagles as well. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Could be a very high scoring game. I'm excited to watch both offenses, but I think the Eagles do pull it out, and Nick Sirianni walks out with his first win. Now, enjoy it, Joe. This is going to be one of your few wins this season, so definitely enjoy beating the Falcons in Week 1.
Thank you, Tim. I will. I will. It'll be the best week of my life, or the best week of the season. We'll be undefeated.
Yeah, your wife is right there, Joe. Your wife
I know.
is
I
right
know. I know.
behind you.
I
You
shouldn't have
got
said
married a
that.
couple
Best week of
of
my
months
life.
ago,
Yikes.
so
The
keep that on
honeymoon
the
was the
down
best
low.
week. I
Keep that
know.
on the down low. But now we're going to a very interesting matchup, Joe, that I'm very excited about. You have the Chargers making well, I have the Chargers making the playoff as well. We both have the football team winning the division. They're playing in Week 1, and I've been listening to a couple podcasts recently. A lot of people are kind of riding on the Chargers, maybe to even overtake the Chiefs for the division. So we got the Chargers at the football team. Football team is currently a 1.5 point favorite at home. The over under is at 44 and a half. Joe, who do you have winning this game? Because we both have these teams 10, 11 wins making the playoffs. Who's coming out on top Week 1, though?
Yeah, give me the Chargers in this game. They're just the better overall team. I mean, the Washington has a better defense, but the Chargers still have a very good defense, and they have an explosive offense. Washington, on the flip side, we don't know what Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to look like yet. They've lost some starters on the offensive line, and Curtis Samuel just went on the IR for Washington as well. So it's the Terry McLaurin show, and I'm all about it. I only have him in one league though, so I'm very excited to see what the Chargers do this season, and I think it's going to start off pretty well against Washington. And while I think it's going to be a better game than it normally would, because Washington is better than it has been in the past, I think that the Chargers will find a way to win. Um, Washington might find a way to lose. I don't think that Washington is that team anymore. And the Chargers were that team a lot last year. They found a lot of ways to lose games that they should have won. And I think the Chargers will find a way to win. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, this is such a tough game for me to pick. I mean, both teams are great. Both teams I expect to get 9, 10, 11, maybe even more wins. I love Justin Herbert. I like that offense, but I like the football team's defense a little bit more, Joe, especially for a West Coast team going to the East Coast. I know it's week 1, so the traveling, it's not like it's week 5 and they have to travel and all that stuff to plan on. I'm going with the football team in this one. I like that defense a little bit more. I like Fitz Magic. And I know a couple of years ago, I was like worried about the Ravens going up against Fitz Magic. I was like, this is Fitz Magic week 1. Like it's going to happen. The Dolphins, and then we won 59-10. Very easily, but I like the football team in this one. I like the defense, and as I said not with kind of like the Bengals, football team has to win this game to kind of prove to people saying, "Hey, we're not just going to win the NFC East having 8 wins or 9 wins, and it's going to be a struggle bust of the end of the season." Winning a game for them is like, "Hey, we know we're the best team in this division, and we're going to prove it by beating another team that is playoff caliber and that." So I'm going with the football team in this one. Hopefully, like the Bengals pick, I'm not biting my words come Tuesday or Wednesday whenever we do record. So I'm excited to watch
down
that game.
2 games already.
Hey, we'll see. Maybe you're down 2 games. And Joe, we mentioned TJ Watt extension. Week 1, another great matchup for 2 teams playing together. Steelers at the Bills. Bills Mafia returning into the stand. So it's going to be a great tailgating atmosphere there. Great fans as always. The Bills are a 6.5-point favorite at home. Over under is 48. Now, Joe, I have the Bills in the Super Bowl. You have the Bills, I believe, being the number 2 seed, still getting 13, 14 wins. Do you see the Steelers going into Buffalo week 1 and winning this game?
I think that the only way that happens is if, kind of like the way last night's game went with the Bucs and Cowboys, if the Bills just shoot themselves in the foot and, they're not able to slow down the Steelers offense, which I don't think should be difficult. I don't
Right.
believe in the Steelers offense, but that defense is really good. And, maybe Josh Allen starts to regress, takes a step back, and we kind of see that, in the first game. It's possible, but I think that the Bills are just, too good of a team, and I'm just not sold on the Steelers and their offensive line. So yeah, give me the Bills in this game. I think Bills Mafia is gonna run away with it.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bills as well. I think the Steelers can win this game, but I think it would have to be a very unique situation, like you said, a bunch of shooting themselves in the foot, creating some turnovers and short fields. Likewise, I do think for the Steelers, it has to be a big game from Najee Harris. Like if he runs 80 yards for a touchdown on his first carry and then another 50-yard run, and it's like, this guy's going to run for 400 yards against us, then yeah, the Steelers could definitely win the game. But I just think there's too many unknowns right now with the Steelers and that offense. Najee Harris, even the O-line, brand new O-line as well. And I just think that the Bills are a better team. Wouldn't be surprised, again, if this is a close game for a little bit, but I think after the second half, the Bills are going to make the necessary adjustments to get Stephon Diggs open, even get God knows whatever running back will be in the game, Zach Moss or Devin Singletary.
Right.
So I do think the Bills will pull away. And I think I mentioned that on part of my take today. They were like, I think people are going to underestimate how truly big fans are. Bills Mafia first game back after having going to the AFC Championship game. They have high expectations. We both have the Bills in the AFC Championship game. So Bills Mafia is going to be ready to party on Sunday for sure. So going with the Bills on that one. And the final 1 o'clock game that we do have to talk about, Joe, we have the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray going all the way on the road to the East Coast again to play the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are a 3-point favorite at home. The over-under is 53. Again, another tough game that I'm very excited to be watching for. I mean, we got Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. We got a nice running game over there in Tennessee as well with Derrick Henry, the addition of Julio Jones now, AJ Brown. This is going to be a high-scoring game for sure. So, Joe, who's your pick in the Cardinals and Titans?
Yeah, I think this can definitely be a really high scoring game. I don't love either of these defenses, and I do think both these offenses are going to be pretty good. So, with that being said, I'll take the defense I like better, and that's the Titans in this game. I think that the Cardinals, while they have some good pieces on defense, what they're really lacking is in the cornerback department, kind of like the Bucs were last night. And they're going up against two of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and AJ Brown and Julio Jones. They're going to have to, double and triple cover these guys with no names, and someone's going to be open, or Derrick Henry's going
Right.
to be running the ball, right down that soft coverage's throat. So I think it's going to be the Titans this game. I think that they're going to kind of control this game throughout, while Cardinals are going to be a little bit more frantic, make a couple more mistakes, and ultimately come up short.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that one. Much like in the Eagles Falcons game, I'm just going with the team, that defense I trust a little bit more right now, and that is the Tennessee Titans, especially after adding Bud Dupree as well. That's going to be a huge addition for them. Cardinals are definitely going to put up points, but I think you said too, I think it's going to be a little bit more frantic, where the Titans are going to say, "Hey, we're more uniform. We know what the deal is. We know our style of football. We've been here before, so I do think the Titans will pull it out." And a couple of games in the 4 o'clock slate, Joe. We are starting with the Denver Broncos at the New York Football Giants. Again, another West Coast team going to the East Coast. We're going to see a lot of that this year, just the way the schedule has worked out for everybody. Broncos are a 3-point road favorite at the Giants. Joe, I'm going with the Broncos. Over under is 41 and a half, by the way, for those of you who are interested. I'm going with the Broncos in this one. I know we talked about all their offensive questions. I think they're only going to get about 5, 6, 7 wins. I think the Giants are only going to get 4 wins. So Broncos are going to win this game. It's a defense that's back. It's healthy. Von Miller's back. Bradley Chubb, Vic Fangio defense. Daniel Jones on the other side. So it's a little bit of an easier pick for me. I'm going with the Broncos in this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Tim. You said it. I mean, it's a Vic Fangio defense that is healthy and ready to go, and they're going up against a very bad offensive line.
Mhm.
Saquon, who it'll be his first game back as well, and we don't know what to exactly expect from him. And Daniel Jones, who has proven that he's very good at turning the ball over. So I think that it's going to be rough for the Giants offense just moving the ball. And while I do think that the Giants defense is a little better than people give it credit
Mhm.
for, and they could slow down the Broncos without too much difficulty. I think that the Broncos just the better team in this game, and like I said, that matchup with their defense against their offense, I think that favors the Broncos tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. And now Tua versus Mac Jones. I guess the mentor and the mentee, whatever you want to say. The Dolphins are going up to New England. Tua is starting. Mac Jones is starting. Two college teammates, maybe even roommates potentially, back at Alabama. They are playing. Patriots are actually a 3.5 point home favorite. The over under is at 43 and a half. Joe, like I talked about in our preview, I don't see it from the Patriots yet. I'm going with the Dolphins in this one.
Yeah, this is tough. I could definitely see this going either way. I think I'm going to go with the Dolphins as well. I mean, that defense is healthy, and they made a lot of plays. No Stephon Gilmore in this game. J.C. Jackson's going to be asked to do a lot more than he normally is,
Mhm.
and this Dolphins roster has some pretty good receivers. I'm really excited to see what Jalen Waddle brings to the table. Um, yeah, I think that it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a really good game, but I think that the Dolphins defense is just going to make a couple more plays, and Tua's going to do just enough. I mean, they just have better weapons on offense in Miami as well than New England.
Yeah, it's going to be a close game for sure. And if it comes down to a kicking contest, I do like Jason Sanders a little bit more than whoever the New England kicker is. I don't even know, but Jason Sanders is one of the better kickers in the NFL for sure. So definitely going with the Dolphins in a very close game on that one. And we got the Packers now on the road against the Saints. This is being played in Jacksonville. At least the good news is they made that call last week. Plenty of time to prepare and whatever on both teams. Going from the dome to going to hot and humid Florida, that's affecting both teams and their hydration and their stretching and their conditioning and everything. So at least it wasn't like they made this decision 2 days ago and they were like, all right, we're playing in Jacksonville. Packers
Right.
are a 3.5 point road favorite against Jameis Winston, and the Saints over under is at 49. Joe, I mean, I have the Packers winning 14, 15 games. I have the Packers winning this one. I think the Saints are in for a rough one. Jameis Winston is going to do okay, but you're going to see a huge difference in a Sean Payton Drew Brees offense and a Sean Payton Jameis Winston offense. And I think this is a game that the Packers need to win. They should win, and they will win.
That's right. I think it's going to be a statement win by Green Bay. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is back after an offseason of drama, and he's going to remind everyone why he won the MVP, why he's here. He's here to win a Super Bowl, and he's going to do everything he can to make that happen. So I think it's going to be a big win by the Packers, and the Saints might score some garbage time points, make it a little bit closer on paper. I think that the Packers are going to control this game throughout.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't. It's going to be a statement win by the Packers and awakening for the Saints, I believe as well. In the final 4 o'clock game, we have another playoff rematch. We have the Cleveland Browns going on the road to the Kansas City Chiefs. A great matchup. As we mentioned the other day, they almost won in the playoffs. Chad Henne had like a 19-yard rush on 3rd and 20. Then they threw on the 4th and 1, and they converted that as well. But the Chiefs are a 5.5 point home favorite right now. The over is 54. Over under is 54 and a half. Again, this is a tough one. These are some of the better teams in the AFC. I'm just going to go
Right.
with the home cooking. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. Browns are going to put up a good fight for sure, but like we saw with the Bucs, I just think putting the football in the hands of a Patrick Mahomes and the Andy Reid offense, they're going to find a way to win. Maybe it's a score late or whatever, but they're going to control the game and they're going to end up winning this football game.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs as well, Tim. I think that it could go either way, and I think that the big kind of keys to watch in this one are the Chiefs' remade offensive line
Mhm.
versus the Browns' remade defense. I mean,
Right.
so many different additions on both sides of the ball, and specifically the offensive line for the Chiefs, but a lot of different positions for the Browns on their defense. So I think that's really going to be key because we know this Browns offense can be really good. If the defense can slow down the Chiefs, if that offensive line isn't as good as we think it could be a rough night for Kansas City. But I'm also, like I said, I'm going with the Chiefs. I think that there is a scenario where the Browns do find a way to win, though.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's definitely going to be closer than people expect. I'm just going to go with Mahomes and Andy Reid because they haven't lost too many games, Joe. So I'm gonna make
That's
sure
right.
it's going to stay that way. And then Sunday Night Football, we are going to the location of this year's Super Bowl. We have the Bears at the Rams. The Rams are a 7.5 point favorite. The over under is at 47. I'm going with the Rams. I think the Bears are going to show us what they got, of course. And then it's going to be like, well, when Justin Fields gets in, when Justin Fields gets in, when Justin Fields gets in, when he becomes the starter, this could be a little bit of a dangerous team. But Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, that defense, they're winning this game.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's a lot that needs to be said about this one. I mean, this defense is really good, and Andy Dalton is not very good. This offensive line is not very good. They've got Allen Robinson and David Montgomery and not much else. I mean, this defense is also, not the same defense it was the
Right.
last couple of years. So, now they're going up against Matt Stafford and, just a loaded Rams offense. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm really excited to see Matt Stafford and how he looks in Los Angeles now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun game, and it could be an ugly one for the Bears. And I'm sure Matt Nagy is still going to say Andy Dalton's our starter, which is crazy in my eyes. But I think that's how it could end up. And then the final game of the week, Monday Night Football, no longer a double header, but we do have my Baltimore Ravens on the road at the Las Vegas Raiders. First game in Vegas with fans. At the current time of recording, the Ravens are still a 4 point favorite. I think when the schedule was announced, even a couple of weeks ago, it was closer to 7 or 8. Now it's down to 4 with Lamar Jackson and God knows what running back running out there. Going at the Raiders, the over under is 50. Joe, I'm going with the Ravens. This is not going to be a fun game if you are a Raiders fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I think that we talked about the injuries that the Ravens have had, but they're not injuries that they can't overcome. I
Right.
think they're still just the better team, and I still don't think it's very close. Um, you know, I don't think the Raiders are going to be very good at all this year. This would definitely be a good game to build up the confidence for your guys' pass rush. I think
Absolutely. I
with
was just about to
this
say.
yeah, I mean, this offensive line is it's very pedestrian and, very new and remade, not a lot of chemistry. Um, and this Ravens pass rush really needs to, find a way to be successful this
Mhm.
season even more with the Marcus Peters injury. So this could be a good way to get the rookie and Justin Houston all just kind of involved and just get that energy going and get that Baltimore style defense back to the way it is.
Yeah, and that's going to be the key. It's going to be a nice momentum because next week we got Patty Mahomes and co coming into town. So this is a game that we definitely do need to win. I don't think we'll start 0-2, but hey, you never know. Raiders do somehow have that magic. I mean, last year they beat the Saints on Monday Night Football in their first game in the new stadium. Now that there's fans involved, wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders pulled out, but we got to go with the Ravens all the way. But Joe, that man, that felt good to pick some Week 1 football, man.
I
We're
know,
back.
I know. We're back. We're back. That was seamless. That was very well done. I
Very
love
well
it.
done. And if you guys want to be, if you guys watching want to be a guest, let us know. We are more than happy. We do have a bunch of recurring guests that we'll be reaching out to throughout the season. But if you're new and you want to be on the show, let us know. We'll see if we can work it out. But that's it for Week 1, man. Let's just relax, enjoy some football. Joe, any final words?
Man, I'm down 30 in one of my fantasy leagues because
Woo!
Mike Evans did nothing, the only Bucks receiver to not do anything. And, of course, I went up against Amari Cooper. So, Mike Evans got 4, Amari Cooper got 34. That's great. We're going into, Sunday in a 30-point hole in the big money league and, not looking great in the projections in some of my other leagues. So, fingers crossed for me, everyone. And, let's have a great weekend. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, let's have a great weekend. We will be back in the midweek to recap Week 1 and pick next week's Thursday night game between the Giants and the football team. I think I know who we're all going to be picking in that one, unless, of course, of a big injury to either team. But that is Joey D over there, and I'm Timmy B. And you guys have a great day. We'll see you soon. Let's watch some football. Peace.